All right, welcome to Sharper's Charts. We are going to cover engineering your strategy or experimental backtesting. I'm going to take a little deeper dive into this. I wanted to cover maybe a little more information on what this means. There were two types of experimental backtesting. The biggest one we're going to cover first. It kind of covers the meat of my four-phase backtesting system. It's the first. It's experimenting. So it's the part where you start building your trading edge. You're finding your system, what works for you, how to make it work, how to find your time, and all that. So we're going to start with that. It's kind of a building your strategy type of backtesting. I'm going to start this off. We're going to open up create a new session, and we'll call it experiment. Actually, I like engineering. Engineering my system. You can add a description if you wanted to. I'm not adding strategies because I'm assuming if you're in here, you don't have a strategy yet. I guess you could call that engineering my strategy. One of the big keys here is you want to have a pretty good idea of what your instrument's going to be. I'm going to pick MYM because I know it. And the goal is to just pick one instrument for this. As you're building your strategy, as you're experimenting, you want just one instrument. Now, if you're into a point where you've already got your system a little bit, you can add instruments, and that's perfectly good as you're growing. But as you're first building your system, as you're first building your strategy, you want to stick with one instrument. Now this instrument can change if you find out as you're trying to build your strategy it just doesn't work. And you also want to try and get about 50 trades in. 50 solid trades. So you want to pick a time. I'm going to do the 1 hour. So we're going to go with January 1st. And then I'm going to take this for a full year because I know I can get over 50 trades. And because it's experimenting, you may not get the quality 50 trades you're wanting to right away. So you may have to go back through a couple times just to get that down. Start with a dollar amount that you plan on being in. So if you plan on starting a live account with 5K or 10K, any of these, that's the dollar amount you want to start with. Okay, I've been in the 20K pocket up and down, so I'm gonna stay with that. I also find that 20K is a really good, comfortable number. So the first thing you want to do, I'm going to explain this as I fix my colors here, is you want to start with a base system. Most of the people I deal with on Sharper's Charts are trendline traders, but we have a lot of support resistance traders. I like to identify as a support resistance trader and trend line. I kind of do both. I kind of look at my trend lines as a support resistance level. So it's kind of how I do it. Now I always try to set this screen up, my back testing, exactly like I have my life. Okay. If you're starting out and this is something new to you and you've not been paper trading or anything, then you're going to find what you like. And we'll kill Walker. So I'm going to go through this kind of like I would if I was setting this up for myself. But first I want to say, you want a base system. What's that base system going to be? A good base system will be a support resistance type of system, trading system, supply demand type of trading system, which is very similar to support and resistance, a trend line trading system, ICT, Orb, and there's many others. These are like some of the base systems that you can get information from, and you can learn that system. And so that's what you're wanting to do. Start with a base system. Find one that feels good when you're using. You click with it. Like you do it and you think, man, I love the trend lines. I see the trend lines. It helps me see the trend. I really like it. Then that's where you want to start, and you want to get really good at seeing those trend lines. Okay, I'm kind of setting up. I'm going to set this up the way I set things up. So just so I can get a head start on this. The next thing you want to do is you want to pick your instrument. I've already mentioned that. Pick your instrument. Find that one instrument that you feel is going to be good. I think a really good one to start out on is a simple one like gold. If you're going to have a low budget count, then maybe 1 ounce gold right now. There's also some people have access to I can't remember 100 gram or I don't know what it is, 100 ounce silver. That's a low budget one. Any of the micros, if you're in the States and you can trade 100 ounce silver, yes. If you're in the States and you can trade the New York session, then maybe you might want to think about MYM, MES. M&Q is kind of tricky for newer traders. I would suggest not to go that route, but you can try it. You're more than welcome. I started my system out with MES. I loved it. It was great. I do not trade it anymore. Through time, I just chose to stick with MYM. There's also the Russell, the works M2K. There's some cryptos, futures. There's micro Ethereum, micro Bitcoin, micro XRP. So those are some that you can trade that are lower cost and will be a good one to start. So you need to find an instrument. Pick one that's going to fit you. So if you're in the States and you want to trade New York Open time frame, I highly suggest an indice. If you're in the States but you want to trade the Asian session in the evening because work takes you all through the day and you only can trade in the evening, then I think the metals work really good in the Asian session. But you'll have to figure that out. You can find out if maybe it's Forex. Maybe you want to trade a Forex. You'll have to kind of maybe do a little experimenting with that, which is what stage we're in, right? The experimental stage. Just know that it can change. You're not stuck to it, but it's good to find one to start with. Get my setup finished here. So I'm going to start this off with the base of trend line trading. So that's the base, and I'm going to use support resistance as well. You want to define what times you can trade. What's your lifestyle say? What are your work hours? What are your busy moments of the day? Are you a parent and you got child things to take care of? Are you in school and you got school things to deal with, and you got homework times you got to set up? Find a time during the day. If you're limited on your time, let's say you only can pull out a 3-hour window or a 2-hour window, you probably want to trade like in the 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, so that you can take and focus those 3 hours in a smaller time frame so that you can get some trades. You want to identify that, because that's what you're going to back test. You're going to back test that window only, because you want to get really good at what works in that window. Again, this could change. So the best thing is to think, okay, what do I do? I work, I'm on the West Coast. I don't start work till 9. I can get up earlier. I can hit the New York Open, and I can trade from 6:30 to 8. And that gives me an hour to get up and get ready to go to work. Maybe you start work earlier, so you want to trade. You come home later and you want to trade the Asian session. So if you're West Coast, it's going to start about 5 o'clock. Gets pretty active about 6, 7, 8, and then you're pretty much done. So you can pick a window. And again, this is the experimental phase, so you might have to experiment with some of that. You want to start this whole thing out. If you're a new trader, you want to start this whole experimental phase out by learning and understanding your base. If you picked and you watched videos and you decided, oh, I think I'm going to stick with support resistance. Keep watching support resistance videos. Don't wander off. Stick with support resistance. Practice support resistance. Understand what you're doing with support resistance. Get 50 decent trades in that you felt good about with support resistance. If you're doing trend lines, same thing. Do what you got to do. Get a mentor, get videos, whatever it takes to help you understand trend line trading. In my eyes, there's only one trend line trader who has any merit, and that is Tori. Her trend line trading system is, in my eyes, the only one that's really defined well enough to trade as a base system. So we're going to get really good at this. We're going to trade just the trend lines. I'm in the daily. I need to get my support resistance up. So I do mine a little different than most, and that's okay. We're gonna. This came through my experimentation, so it's just something that I've come to do. So my support resistance is almost kind of like her trend line system. I start at a pullback and I'm waiting for another pullback, instead of going all the way back, which is just as good of a support resistance to sit here and go back and look and see how many touch points you're getting, and then drawing a long support resistance level. There's nothing wrong with that. There's support resistance zones. There's just probably about 3 or 4 ways. check out my videos. I do have a video on different ways of drawing support resistance. This is the way I came to. This is the way that fit me, and I really, really like it. So you want to practice this. You want to practice this over and over and over. You want to go by what you're being taught, and you want to feel like you have a good understanding of what you're doing in your base system. If it's ICT, if it's orb, whatever, just stick to that. Don't add anything else. Don't try anything else. Just try to get a good base feel for that system, that base system. And it doesn't matter if it's like a lot of wins, but you start understanding it. So you want to get that base feel. You get about 50 trades in that you felt, okay, I just did a session, 50 trades, and I felt like I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not, maybe I got a 40% win rate. Maybe it's a, 50, or maybe it's a 60. You got a good idea. You're not a 20% win rate. You got a good idea. You kind of understand where to put your stop. You understand what you're looking for, like where to put a stop, where to take profit, how to manage the stop if you want to manage it. So you kind of got a pretty good idea. Now, this is where you're going from someone's system, copying somebody's system, and making it your system. Now you're going to go and you want to start exploring. Maybe you've seen somebody trade with a different ICT, and you kind of thought that looked kind of interesting. Go explore it. Maybe you heard someone talking about orb, or maybe it's just simple somebody's talking about previous day highs, previous day lows, previous weeks. All these different things are out there. And I highly suggest at this phase is you watch some videos. If those videos click with you, if they make sense to you, you're not sitting there watching it going, scratching your head going, what did he just do? If that's your reaction, toss it, trash it, it doesn't matter. Move on. You want the things that are clicking with you. You want the things that make sense to you, because this is your system, your edge. You do need to be careful. Too much is a distraction. But you're going to start looking at things, watching videos, maybe it's indicators or something like that, to see what you can merge with your trading. So I started off as a support resistance trader. I added trend lines. When I first started with the trend lines, my support resistance were the ones that went all the way back. I'm looking for good touch points, good systems, and then I worked with my support resistance levels and watched a lot of videos on market structure and support resistance so that I could see what's happening. In the end, I came to this particular style that I really like. So this, and I'm not saying it's the right style. Don't get me wrong. Some people may not even understand it. That's what I'm trying to say, though. Find that piece that's working with you. So you're looking. So a couple suggestions of other things that you might want to try. Some videos you might want to watch and see. Some suggestions are I highly recommend you watch anything on basic candle structure. What is the candle doing? Understand what's going on and happening with these candles. These candles tell you a story. They all tell you a story of what's happening. And understanding that is huge. You could add candle patterns. I see them. I see some. I know them. I studied them. I don't remember them all. I kind of created my own names of some patterns that I saw that have stuck with me, that I see regularly. So I kind of renamed them. I don't even know if they're actually a real candle pattern anymore. So I do have some candle patterns that I watch. In fact, if I were to, I can't yet. I gotta have a trade. I'm gonna say if I could pull up my trades, I could show you. That's kind of one of the things I do is I'm looking for certain setups. Like, let me see if I can find. Here's a nice bump and run. So this is 1, 2, 3, bounces and takes off. That's a nice bump and run. Unfortunately, this was in a good move up. This would have been an area right here. That would have been a good area for me to enter for a trade. I'd enter right up here because I see 1, 2, 3, a nice little Twizzler. I know they're called something else. And then we're starting to take off. So if it breaks this area, I am convinced it's going to take off and go up. I got engulfing patterns. Here's an engulfing candle right here that took off. So understanding candles, I think, are good. Fibonacci's a good one. So many people use Fibonacci in so many different ways. I don't. I never got into it. It kind of didn't click. It was one of those that I would watch and kind of scratch my head. Moving averages. Moving averages are really good. I watch for my setup in the daily, and I do use moving average. I use two of them. I use the 50, and I keep them at simple moving average. And I use the 200. This is something I learned when I first started with options. I learned to use this with in the daily time frame, and so now I use it, but I only use it in the daily time frame where I'm looking for my setups. I don't want it in any other time frame. I just want to see that here. Also look at, if you're trendline trading and you're using support resistance, definitely look at other support resistance videos. I don't, if your support resistance is your base, watch Tori's videos for trend lines if you want to add trend lines. I don't know how, and I'm saying this from my experience. I did support resistance and I continually tried to watch support resistance videos, and the only person that ever clicked with me on support resistance was Tori, and how she did it. She made that support resistance level mean something. It wasn't just a random trend line here. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. She made trend lines mean something. To me, the way she does them, there are support resistance. And finally, I believe in anything market structure, anything you can learn about how market structure is moving, so you can see when it's pivoting, when it breaks a certain point. Like here, this is price hit a bottom, came up, matched this point, got a little pullback, pulled up, broke this last point here, broke this point. You can see where my this line is. It's pretty much did its little pullback, came back and retested this. This would have been a point if I was in before all this move. So experiment with those things. Anything that's going to help you read the market and understand it. So let's do a quick trade here. Oh, wait, not done. Can finish my setup here. I'm on the right time frame. Boom, boom. I don't trade there, so bump it up one day. We'll go the next day. Okay, so I'm almost looking right here. We got in the daily. I have 2 touch points bounce off of the all-time high. All-time high is a very strong point. I have a support resistance level down here though. So if this was further down, I might consider, for me, I might consider that looking at this in the hourly for it's a nice engulfing candle. It's a nice drop. But I don't want to play right before this level. So I'm going to kind of hope, let it play out and see what happens. Looking almost like we might break all-time high here. But I'm going to jump. So it's afternoon. I'm not going to get too much more movement out of the New York Open, so I'm going to jump to the next morning. And I didn't. I just got another doji, but now we got another. So now I've got three rejections off of all-time high here, and I'm seeing another pull down. What does that look like here? I'm going to adjust this to here. Pull back. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that I want to jump in on. We'll let this day play out, see what happens. Looks like it's moving pretty darn good. One of the things with this experimental phase of doing things, you want to try and keep your contracts down. If you're doing futures, keep it to 1 contract. It's not about making money right now. It's about finding a system that will make money. So you're really just kind of waiting. This is middle of the night. I can't be trading. Middle of the night. It was 7 o'clock. Okay, it's not the middle of the night. It's close to bedtime though. So see, I don't mark up the 1 hour for my trend lines and all that. I don't mark up the 1 hour. I'm playing off the daily levels. And right now, I'm not seeing anything. But this is how I trade. This is my system. This is my edge, you know. So in understanding that, now I could put a trend line here on the daily, but that thing would just be steep as could be. I would prefer this to come down and hit somewhere here. Would be a lot better. I'm going to skip that. Now I'm starting to get close to a retest of this support level. So far this means I've had 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in day 5 of no trades. I love seeing this. I love seeing that and acknowledging that, so that when I'm sitting there not taking a trade on the week, I know that that's part of what my trading is going to be like. Okay, this isn't going anywhere either. Now we're a little closer to touching this. I'm going to watch this because I have a feeling this could be a 2 touch point bounce. So see, I got 1 point here. Oops. That is squished up. We have this point here, and now we're coming down. We got another point. This could be a bounce or it could be a breakdown. There's a very good strong possibility it could break down and come back down to this point here. So I'm going to watch this a little bit in the hourly this time. Kind of see what's happening. So the day is looking positive. So I want to go back to the daily. The daily's giving me a nice little doji. Let's see what happens. We jump up. We got a good rejection, and we're working away. But you see what I'm saying? So this is me. I'm experimenting. Of course, it's hard for me to bring myself back to mentally how it was experimenting. So I'm trying everything. I really wanted to trade. So let's see what we can do here before it's gone. So we had a nice pull up. We got a little pullback. See what happens here. See how this day progresses. It's just ranging. This is what happens. Now in the lower time frame, you probably could have had 2 or 3 trades here. You could, there could have been a move here for you. Looks like there could have been a possible move down. So there are trades for lower time frames, but not for the 1 hour. I'm going to jump this again. I'm not seeing nothing but sideways. This would have been almost 2 weeks now of no trading. Look at that. I just picked a perfect spot to start, didn't I? There we go. So now I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the charts doing my morning routine. I see we finally broke this support level. So I want to see what does that look like here. I like seeing this line of indecision candles, Twizzlers. We had a good touch. We failed to progress up. Come down again. Failed to progress up. So I'm going to do a sell. I'm going to go, we got one break. And I know this is, in live trading, I've actually been in here at 5:30. I'd have probably about a good 10-15 minutes to make this decision. So I don't mind pausing and waiting. So I'm going to go one contract, and I've been experimenting with a set loss and take profit, and this is YM, so we're going to do 150 and 450. Actually, I'm going to do 300. We're going to do 100 to 300. Oops, I did that backwards. 300 profit, 100 stop. And I do stop orders. It's just how life works for me. So I'm going to go, we had a good breakdown. We got a wick. I'm just going to put my stop in just a little bit lower than that wick. And we'll put this in, see what happens. Boom, I'm out. So now I want to, because I'm trying to build a strategy. I'm trying to experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and tag this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out where I entered. You can use the little arrows and stuff, but they don't give you the kind of the price, the zone, like where you entered. So I like to do that. I have my stop loss up here. And I can see by just looking at this that I was stopped out. So come in here, trade notes, here. I want to take a screenshot of the 1 hour. And because I do my setups in the daily, I want to take a screenshot. I want to see what I was looking at on the daily and take my screenshot on the daily. Now, I can make a note here and say, did not wait for a retest or pause, which is part of my rules. So I wouldn't have actually entered that trade. That gives me a little, just a little something that makes me think, okay, what happened? I don't have strategies because I'm building a strategy. Back when I first started building mine and I used this experimental phase, I had, these were the tags. The tags, you want a tag, screenshot, and just a quick note to help you remember what happened. So when you go back and review, these will be the tools to help you track your engineering, your experiment. These are the tools that are going to say, this works, that works, this doesn't work, that does work. You never want to rely on, oh, I got a great trade and so that works. No, that worked that one time does not mean it's going to work all the time. So you really, really want to rely on your tags. Your tags give you the most data points to understanding what's happening. You're going to do your screenshots with a little markup so you know where you entered and where you got knocked out at. You want to add your tags. Now I was trendline, I had trendline trade, so I wanted to know, was it a 2 touch point, 3 touch point, you know, all these things. I'm trying to figure out all these different things. Was the gap tight? This has to do with the trend line and how it works. So I did a support resistance level break, which is in my trading. What was the entry? You know, how did I got little tags like what was happening at entry, which was I entered after break, right after break. Again, candle reaction. What happened? What was the candle doing? What happened after? I can see here in the daily that candle pulled back. You know, obviously in the hourly, it came down, wicked me, and took off and went back home. Although it looks like it's ready to come back. I did overall trend. Was the overall trend up, down, sideways? What was the pattern? This is what I was talking to you about before I do it, what I call a retest or a pause. But you can look at other patterns, like we were creating lower lows and lower lows and lower highs. You can do, you know, for trendline guys, wedgies. I have the walk the line pattern. These are the patterns I really play. A 200 MA bounce. I have a 360 reversal. I have the bump and run. Double bottoms, double tops, engulfing. I'm watching and tracking fair value gaps. I don't really play them, but I'm watching and tracking them. Gel breakouts, basically consolidation breakouts. So these are all my patterns that I'm still tracking to this day. I'm still tracking because I want to know which ones are better. So that's it. You just want that. You're just wanting a quick synopsis of what's happening. So you're going to get about 10 trades in, and you're going to go back and you're going to review those 10 trades and say, what's happening here? You can review your reports for your tags, all that, and kind of see what's happening. That's your experimental, and you're going to do this over and over and over again until you start seeing some patterns that you want to add to your trading system. You're going to be off of somebody else, using somebody's base, but you're going to be taking that base and making it your system. You're going to have to find your edge. One last type of this experimental type of trading that I want to cover. And I'm going to cover exactly what I did when I came to this, using this as my support resistance technique. I did this all in the hourly. I didn't do the daily at that time. And I would mark every one of these up, and I would just start taking trades. Oh, that one's already a 2 touch point right there. So I would do that, and then I would just start playing and still stay within my time frame. But I just wanted to see and start taking trades. So see, now I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing a trade. So I'm just like busting these out left and right. I'm not really thinking a whole lot other than I am watching my time frame, because I don't want to trade outside my time frame. And I just want to get 50 trades in. I want to see how this thing works. And I also did this a lot with this 1 to 3 method. Now it's the end of the night, and so this is another thing that I did a lot of tracking was, could I leave this stop entry overnight and expect to get in? So I tagged that and ran it, so we're still good. Still haven't gotten hit. I'm hit, and I'm going to get knocked out. No, yes, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no. Boom. Okay. So now I'm just going to do a quick markup of this. So this is the quick route. So I'm going to do a quick markup. This was my stop loss. What did I do the entry at? Let's do an entry here. That's it. That's all I want to see. I'm just going to come up here. Oops. Trade notes. Come up here. I'm going to take a quick picture. And I did, at that time, I created, I don't have it anymore. I created one simple tag category, and when I was doing this, and it was retest, no retest, or retest before, retest after, no retest. I can't remember what the other one was. And I just simple, and I would do, okay, done. I got that. I took that picture, remove this, remove this. This line needs to be readjusted now down to here. And I could have a line right here. Which we're currently breaking. And we're at 11:30, so I'm going to skip that break and jump the next day. So now I got a break here of this level. I'm looking for a retest. Okay, so I'm getting a retest. And this is what the quick one's like. This is just, I'm just wanting to see how price is reacting around these levels. I want to see, and it could be, you know, I'm trying a moving average. I'm trying a Fibonacci or something like that. So I need to do a buy, which means I know this is going to have to change to 300 and stop to 100. I want to buy here. And you see, I'd still do one contract. I don't really, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just wanting to see what are the quality of these trades if I do this. Now I can see that I can move this to break even. We're at all-time high. If we don't break all-time high, I'm about ready to bump this up. I'm going to go here. We're at the end of my day, so I got to jump to morning. We're still playing. Somewhere it's going to hit my TP. Okay, we broke all-time high. I want to get to this pullback here for my stop. I expect that to come back to here and take off again. Or not. Okay, 15. I'm going to jump that to the next day. We're going sideways. And there it is. Okay, so then I just marked that up. I got in here. And I move my stop to just below that. So that was my exit. And sometimes I like to throw in that my stop loss was down here somewhere. Sometimes I mark those up before I lose and forget where they were. So there's, again, another quick trade. Didn't take long. It's a quick process. I take a picture. I hit a tag. I come back. Remove my lines. And I'm off again. So that's a really good the quick method is a really good method. You can get 20 trades, 25 trades, 50 trades. I like the 50 trade number. And you can say, look back, and you can go back and look at your stats and look at your charts and say, just go back and review them and look at them and think, okay, I see how this could be fit in. I really kind of liked how this fits. So I'm going to add that to my trend line trading strategy. It fits. I understood it. I know that I need to add this, break and retest, the pause retest category. I can't just take a break or whatever, So it's a quick experimental back testing method. That's all I got on this particular phase 1 experimental backtesting, engineering your backtesting, your trading system, your trading strategy. And if you already have a trading system, let's say you already got your trading strategy, but you're considering making a change, which is how I got to my trend lines or my support resistance. I started looking at different changes, so I made the quick strategy to see if I like this strategy better than the others. Remember this, in trading, this one trade will not make you wealthy, but it is one trade closer to wealthy trading.